state of the Nigerian nation, talking about insecurity, the killings. Don't forget that Nigeria has been experiencing terrorism in the northeastern parts of the country, and we have been battling with Boko Haram. We also have had cattle rustlers. We've also had people who have been kidnapping in certain other parts of the country. And right now, we're also having to deal with the fact that there's a silent protest by our police officers after the End SARS protest that was done by young Nigerians complaining about police brutality and the killings of innocent people who've been going missing, etc., etc. Now, while there has been the federal government had declared that there be a panel of inquiry, and that inquiry is still going on, there are other matters arising in Nigeria. As of last weekend, 110 rice farmers were killed in their rice fields by terrorists, and Boko Haram has taken they have said that they did the killings. Now, although as we speak, the Nigerian Defense Headquarters has said that only 43 bodies were found, and they think that the United Nations is inflating the numbers. But that is not just the issue. Of course, Nigerians are wondering why farmers have been targeted when government has been telling us, selling us the message of, well, we have technically defeated Boko Haram. We've been told this over and over again that, Boko Haram has been defeated. But every now and again, you hear of bombings, killings, slaughtering. Let's not even forget about the killings in Kaduna, where, overnight people come into homes and slaughter, families, children. And that's also another issue, So the pockets of violence and killings, unnecessary killings in Nigeria, and yet Nigerians are yet to hear from their president. The president has been playing the ostrich for a long time, and Nigerians are asking, where is their president? Before now, last year, even the year before, Nigerians had called for the sacking of service chiefs, saying that they have not necessarily been doing their jobs, but it's all of the hues and cries of Nigerians have seemingly been falling on deaf ears. Apparently, Mr. President has not necessarily thought it wise to change his service chiefs. Some people say it's political. Some people say the president doesn't care about our views. But these are all of the things that we're going to be discussing this evening for the next 30 minutes. Once again, welcome to Conversations with Marianne. If you're watching us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, please feel free to be part of the conversation. Let us know your concerns. If you have questions, please be part of the conversation. Comment and let us know what you think. Today, I have two guests. One is yet to join us. One is a social analyst. Another is a broadcast journalist from Cross River State. She's joining us live from Calabar. Mercy Eboko. Mercy, it's good to have you join us on the show.
Thank you, Marianne, for having me this evening. I appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you, Pablo and Brian Waters, for joining us. So I'll start with you because Andy's not here. Yesterday, I got a notification saying that an assistant police commissioner was killed and hacked to death on his way to Calabar as he was coming to visit his family in that state. Apparently, he is a police commissioner, assistant police commissioner in Borno State, the state where 110 farmers were killed on their rice fields. But before we go into that, what is the state of security in Cross River State as we speak? Hello, Mercy, can you hear me? Did you hear my question?
Okay, well, we seem to be having some network issues, but I hope to get you again. I think we lost connection.
So what is security like in Cross River State as we speak? Yeah.
Hello, Marianne.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'm gonna let you go and then come back in.
Let's just assume that we're still connected and we still have the network working for us at this point in time.
I'm going to try to let you go and then bring you back in, Mercy, so that we can have this conversation and it will be seamless.
Was actually on his way to visit his family, and unfortunate incident happened. Is really very correct because you have the police bureau DSP Ironugo confirming that particular report. Well, you know.
Well, apologies. We're having a little internet drama today. This has been happening all day today. I hope that we can get Messi back in to be part of the conversation. Once she does come back in, we will have that conversation. But in the meantime, I'd just like to let people know that Cross River State used to be, because that is no more, used to be one of the safest cities in Nigeria. It used to be the most safest place. In fact, the safest state at some point. There were no killings, no robbery. You could walk along the streets at any time of the night. It was just safe, and it's one of the biggest tourism spots in the country. It hosts Africa's biggest street carnival, which is called Carnival Calabar. It's had two amazing governors, under the democratic dispensation. I mean, it's a beautiful city, and I come from Cross River State. Actually, it's a beautiful state, but then the city of Calabar is known to be Nigeria's first capital. Before Lagos and then Abuja. So it's where we had our colonial masters, govern from. It's a beautiful state, and the people are peace loving. But in the space of less than 4 years, we've had insecurity, we've had killings, we've had all kinds of things happening in Cross River State. And as we speak, a journalist for almost a year has gone missing. He was leaving his home early in the morning to go do the news at 6 a.m. and he was kidnapped by a known gunman. And until today, we've not been able to find him. Neither have we been able to find his body. And this is some stories that can never be associated with Cross River State. But as we speak today, this is the state of that particular city. And then as of yesterday, a police officer, an assistant police chief, was hacked to death on his way home to visit his family. And just so you know, the police officer was coming from the city where these farmers were killed, 110 of them, even though the Nigerian government is saying that this is not true, that there were just only 43 people who were killed and they could only recover 43 bodies. But as we speak, a policeman has been hacked to death. Now, let's not also forget that there are pockets of violence everywhere because the Nigerian police force is on some form of silent protest. They have refused to go back to work. So it has forced Nigerians, people who live in highbrow areas, to start building extra fences and gates to, gate their communities so that they can protect themselves. So we've started making sure that we protect ourselves when we have a police force where they're supposed to be protecting us, but the police has refused to go back to work. And this is as a result of the fact that Nigerians came out en masse to protest against police brutality. Now, as we speak, there is something happening in the northeast of the country. There's something happening in the north central of the country. There's something happening in the middle belt. The country is facing high level insecurity. But Mr. President has refused, as many people have called on Mr. President to sack the service chiefs and get new people in there with new ideas and new strategies. Soldiers, on the other hand, who are fighting in the face of insecurity, they're fighting terrorism, have been complaining that they're fighting with very old equipment. The guns, the ammunitions that they have to use to face these terrorists is nothing compared to what the terrorists are using to fight against them. So again, as the government of Nigeria is telling Nigerians that they have won the fight against Boko Haram technically, we're seeing the opposite happen. And then soldiers are also, on the other hand, saying, look, we have not been given what we need to fight this fight. So it makes it very difficult for Nigerians to know what to believe. I'm having a little problem with my guest coming back in because of internet issues. Hopefully they can come back in and we can continue having this conversation. Hopefully we can get Mercy to come back in. But that's what we're talking about. So if you're on Facebook, you're a Nigerian, you're watching, or you're not from Nigeria and you want to know what exactly is happening here, please feel free to join the conversation, ask your questions, post your comments. Why do you think Mr. President is hell-bent on keeping the same service chiefs who have not been able to deliver? And this is the issue for the police inspector general. This is also for the head of the army. There's been a lot of complaints coming from the army. It has never been heard. I mean, in my 37 years of knowing this country, we've never seen soldiers go on the record to say, look at the equipments that we're being given to fight this fight. They're all moribund. They're so old. We're being killed in our numbers. We don't have welfare. We're not being taken care of. How do we win the fight against insurgency? This is the situation in Nigeria. And of course, and this has made Nigerians to say, look, Mr. President, if there is a problem, please, let's address that problem. And let us have new people come in and deal with the situation. But all of this has been falling on deaf ears. Mr. President has refused to get new people into that office. In fact, the president is yet to address this issue. He only went on his social media recently to say, well, that he's hurt that these people were killed so gruesomely, and that something will be done about it. But is that enough compensation for Nigerians and the family members of people who have been killed in the line of fire? Mercy, thank you for coming back. So before you went off, I was asking, can you hear me though?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, you can hear me. I'm going to check your volume. So I was asking before you went off, what is the state of security in Calabar and Cross River as we speak?
Well, the state of security in Cross River State and in Calabar, it's in a sorry state. It's very, very sad, because once upon a time, Cross River State was known as one of the most peaceful states in South Nigeria. But that's a sorry story. That's in the past. We're no longer talking about that. And that's not because security, all of the security issues started as of now. But prior to this time, we know that we experience crime and criminality.
Sorry, Mercy, are you still there? Oh dear, I think we lost her. Anyway, hopefully we can get her back so we can continue having this conversation. Well, still talking about insecurity in Nigeria. I'm so sorry. I apologize. We're having very serious network issues, but hopefully our guest can connect. My other guest is stuck somewhere. He can't get on the conversation, but we're talking about insecurity. If you're living in Nigeria, are you satisfied with how security matters are being dealt with? Kingsley here on Twitter says,
annoyed at every moment. Can you hear me?
Okay, he's saying, why did the colonial masters? Okay, Mercy, we have you back here. Kingsley is saying that Boko Haram is better equipped than the Nigerian army. Back to you, Mercy. You were telling us that Cross River is in a sorry state. And why do you think that is?
Okay, so I was saying that, prior to the time that I went off, you did mention the unfortunate incident that happened yesterday. That's the Assistant Commissioner of Police that lost his life as he, was on his way to visit his family. That story is very correct. It's very true. It happened. Although, all of the stories surrounding his death, at some point, if you want to add one or two together, it really doesn't really add up. Okay, there are a lot of questions to be answered and to be asked as well. But that's not the case. The case is he lost his life. Now, Cross River State didn't used to be like this. Unfortunately, this is where we are. People can no longer sleep and close their eyes. People are paranoid, including myself. I mean, nightlife has actually been shut out. It's no longer business as usual. A lot of businesses, investors are pulling out. A lot is really going on. Okay, but going straight to your question, why is this the case? It's not really far-fetched. It's the fact that the entire system has failed. The entire structure has really failed. It's a failure of the entire structure, and that's why you have what you have. So the issue that we have right now is a structural issue. And you want to agree with me that where you have crime, you would want to agree that poverty is taking a toll in that particular community or the country. So yes, that's the case. For instance, you want to ask yourself, what is the number of employed persons? Look at the fact that ASU is even on strike. It calls for a lot of concern. There are a lot of idle people for 8 months, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of other issues that you want to attribute to the reason why we are where we are today.
What is the governor
Can you hear
of
me?
your state? What is the governor of your state doing?
Marianne, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What is the governor of your state doing about the insecurity in your state? Like I did say while you went off, a colleague of ours was kidnapped on his way to work, and 1 year later, we're unable to find his body. We're unable to account for who kidnapped him. And this is a story that you would hear of in Bayelsa State or River State because of the militancy that's going on there, or that used to go on there. But now this is something you hear about in Calabar. And then you have a governor who's always on TV, but he's yet to address the issue of insecurity. So what is he doing about it?
Okay, so as we speak right now, a security unit or body has been set, it's been called Akbaku. Okay, that's a new one. But for me, some quarters will say this is actually a good step in the right direction. According to the government of the day, they are saying that Cross River State right now is still the most peaceful state in Nigeria. And I'm asking myself, is there a connect? Are we really sincere? Because that's the latest report. I mean, if you follow the news and follow the story, as we speak right now, a new security unit has been established, Homeland Security, to tackle this issue, and it's called Akbaku. But I would think that this is very reactive because even with the statement that the government of the day is making, that there's no Cross River State is still the most peaceful state in Nigeria, it feels like there's a disconnect with the people. The government is having a disconnect with the people, the current reality, what's going on. Okay, so but number one, that's it. That's what's going on right now as I speak with you. Following all of the security issues concerned, the kidnappings, the drug wars, the cult wars or gang wars, if you want to call it, all of that. This is it. But you know, it might also interest you to note, Marianne, can you hear me? Am I interested to note that in 2000, it might interest you to know that in 2015, to be precise, when this government came on board, okay, the security unit was actually established, and it was called Operations Colombo. To be very precise, if I'm not mistaken, in July 2015. Now, the essence was that this security unit, okay, was supposed to work in collaboration with the Nigerian police force to provide information, intel, and intelligence to ensure that crime is combated. Right, crime is combated in Cross River State. Okay, that was the situation. Then
Mercy, I think we lost you for a second there. Well, if you are watching us on Facebook, on Twitter, please feel free to be part of the conversation. We're talking about the insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, most importantly, the killing of 110 rice farmers. And of course, other issues surrounding security in Nigeria. Yesterday evening, an assistant police commissioner in Borno State was killed on his way to visit his family in Calabar. He was hacked to death. Now, there have been people who are saying, oh, it was an assassination. Some other people are saying, oh, well, there's insecurity in Cross River State, and people are hungry. As we speak, look, Nigeria is facing a very hard time, and we have a president who's not necessarily speaking to us. He's ignoring us, and Nigerians are tired. As we speak, the National Assembly has called Mr. President to come and address them and tell them exactly what is happening as to security in this country. The president has agreed to show up on the floor of the National Assembly, but he has not necessarily picked a date to show up. So people are agitated. People want to know that they are safe. And don't forget, the Yuletide season is just around the corner. Everybody's supposed to be celebrating Christmas, even though, you know, there's a pandemic, but people want to be able to go about their business knowing that they're safe, they're secure. But then the police, on one hand, is on a silent protest. So you don't see police officers doing their duties and you don't feel safe. Last week, I was coming home from work. I did the night shift and I was done at about past 10 p.m. I was so afraid to take even an Uber because I wasn't sure if the Uber man was going to take me home. You know, that sense of insecurity is rife right now, not just in Lagos, but across the country. And so it makes us wonder if really our government's duty is being fulfilled to us as citizens. So join the conversation, Facebook, Twitter. We'd like to hear from you. How safe do you feel in Nigeria? Messi, we lost you for a second. Welcome back.
Okay. Okay, so prior to this time, I don't know if you actually got this particular conversation, the thought I actually held. Now, I was saying that in Cross River State, from 2015, when the government, came on board, this current government, you had a security unit that was established, Operation Sponobo. It was supposed to fight crime and criminality. In 2017, it was relocated to one of the LGAs, Calabar South, which is known for harboring crime, or to have the high rate of crime and criminality. But with all of this, it hasn't solved the problem. Now, a bill was also passed in 2016. In 2016, to create the Homeland Security. My point here is this: we seem to see government acting, creating, parastatals, bodies, security outfits, but it has not solved the problem. So, what's the question? The big question is.
Mercy, are you there? Can you hear me? I think we lost you again briefly, but let's go to the main crux of our conversation today. I'm going to play you guys a video from the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, reacting to the killings that happened in Borno State, where 110, according to the United Nations, 110 rice farmers were killed, although the Nigerian army is saying just 43 were killed. I'll play you a video by the Vice President, and then we will have a conversation about what the Vice President
it calls for the consent.
Okay, thank you, Mercy. But we'll take I was just saying that we're going to take a look at the video and Mr. Vice President's reaction to the killings of rice farmers in Borno State, and when we come back, we'll have a conversation on it. So let's take a look at that video.
Sheer randomness of it, the fact that, as the President said, a group of people can act so insanely and in such a dastardly manner and kill innocent people, especially people who are going to their farms to work. I spoke to both the Governor Babagana Zulum, as well as the former Governor Kashim Shettima, right after the incident, to express my condolence, but more importantly, to try and think through ways of dealing with this kind of randomness. I think it's important to understand also that, the conventional means of dealing with some of these issues, conventional means of dealing with this security type of challenges, especially the randomness, is probably, we probably need to keep reviewing that, and which is why the President has said that, he's taking a serious look at how to deal with the issues, especially around the randomness. Because, some insane person goes into a place and shoots people down. That's not the sort of thing that you are prepared for conventionally. So we have to do a lot more local intelligence, which is, a lot more local intelligence. Some of the community policing efforts that we're trying to do, so that information is supplied faster, especially at the local level, and then reaction may then be possible. But it's a major tragedy. It's a very, very unfortunate thing, and our hearts are with the families of those who were killed in such a terrible manner. The sheer randomness of it.
All right, so that is the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, talking to pressmen about the situation in Borno State. Now, I'd like to just refer to some reactions coming from elder statesmen and notable people in this country. The Northern Elders Forum have said that in civilized nations, leaders who fail spectacularly to provide security will resign. But in the case of Nigeria, we've never even had a precedence of a person who maybe stole money, was found in committing a crime, that has ever stepped down. So why would we expect this to happen in Nigeria? So Mercy, looking at what the Northern Elders Forum is saying, and of course the body language of Mr. President, do you see anything really out of the ordinary happening in terms of addressing the deaths of these rice farmers? Don't forget, we've had killings of people in Kaduna State, just before we had the NSAS campaign. We've also had many more people being killed in northeast Nigeria, even people being killed in IDP camps. And all we've heard is lip service. We've not really seen anything done about it. So do you expect anything different to happen this time, and why? Mercy, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Can you hear me, Mercy? Is it possible for you to hear me? Okay. All right. So I'll take that question again. Do you expect Mr. President and the army to do anything different, knowing that several other people have been killed and nothing was really done?
I think that, I mean, normally in a democratic dispensation, you would expect a different behavior.
We cannot hear you, Mercy, so I'm just gonna try to see if
can you hear me?
Something about that and bring you back
Mariam,
in.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Apologies, we're really having to struggle with the internet this evening, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Can you hear me?
Ayola here is saying that, oh, my bad, I'm so sorry, I apologize. IG Kingston here says, we all need God to protect us from those who claim to protect us. We're helpless. Ayola here and everybody else who's complained, I'm sorry, we were colonized by the British. I will make sure not to use the other word again. Thank you so much. And Hustle Muscle here. Okay. Sorry about that, Hustle. Desmond Joseph here on Twitter says, Nigeria is in comatose. The entire system is bad. Now we're dealing with insecurity. The number of people who have died is still in contention. The federal government, the Nigerian army are saying it's 43. The United Nations is saying it's more than 43. It's actually 110. But I think Mercy's coming in and out because of her internet. I'm going to try as much as possible to see if we can hold her and secure her on the show. But there's a lot of contention and back and forth as to the number of people who died. The Minister for Information and Culture in Nigeria, Mr. Lai Mohammed, came out to say that, Garba Shehu, the spokesperson for Mr. President, had come out to say that those farmers who were killed on the rice farms did not get clearance. That was the first response that Nigerians got, that they did not get clearance to go to their farms, hence the reason why these farmers were killed. And this has somewhat gotten a backlash from Nigerians reacting to why Mr. Garba Shehu should have said that in the first place. Mercy, we have you back here. I hope that you can hear me. And I apologize for the internet drama. Can you hear me? Apologies. Well, let's just keep going. Still talking about the situation in the country. A former governor of the state, a former governor of Cross River State, Mr. Donald Duke, had a few words about the state of insecurity in Nigeria, and I would just like to quickly make reference to that. Now, he did say, I just put up the flyer, he's reacting to it, but my question for Mercy would have been, this is a guy that run a state that was the most peaceful state in Nigeria, handed it over to another guy who run it for some time, but then handed over to the present governor who is not doing anything about security in the state. Should Mr. Donald Duke be one to speak on the way that the presidency is handling security in our country? I mean, it's just my thoughts. He's saying that we are losing our country in terms of all of the killings that has been happening. The president, all the people who the messaging is not good enough to make us feel like they're doing something or they want to do something. I think we have Andy Akpotibe joining us finally. Hello, Andy. It's good to have you join us. I know it was a struggle for you. Let's hope that
it was indeed. It was indeed. Can you hear me, Miriam?
Yes, I can hear you. Quickly, just can you react to all of the killings that has been happening, especially the one in Borno, which is our focus this evening? How well do you think the government has addressed this issue, especially with what Garba Shehu said about the farmers not getting clearance before they got to their farms?
Marianne, you know me, I'm very brutally frank. I think that it is idiotic. It insults the sensitivities of the peoples of Nigeria for a presidential spokesman, not the president, not any of the commanders, a presidential spokesman to say to us that we would need to obtain permission before we go about our regular duties as Nigerians. Marianne, do not forget that the Constitution says the primary purpose of government shall be the welfare and the security of the people. Since I heard that very nauseating statement from Garba, I've been asking myself this question, that if they knew that that was hotspots, if they knew that it was not safe and secured for people to go and do their farming, what happened with providing security for people to be able to get into their farms and do farming? Have we now taken or resolved to the defeatist mentality that we are saying that in spite of all of the billions of dollars that we have budgeted to prosecute this fight against Boko Haram, are we saying that we have resolved to faith that Boko Haram indeed has defeated the Nigerian army, has defeated the Nigerian armed forces? Is that what Garba is telling us? If he
Andy,
knew that
Andy, before you go on, apologies. Can you just move away from the camera so we can see you? It looks really dark, and all we can see is just, perfect.
Okay,
that works.
So can you see me now?
Yes, that works. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, Marianne, that there must be something very seriously wrong with these people who make the list of government officials from the very top to the bottom. How is it even possible for a spokesperson to churn out, to say a thing as nauseating as that? Marianne, trust me, if this was in the UK, if this was in some civilized countries of the world, right about now, the press would have finished even Garba. The press, I'm not talking about the people. They would see what CNN is doing with Donald Trump. Everything Donald Trump talks about, they go as far back as 10, 15 years to go and root out certain reports. And it seemed as though CNN was established to take down Donald Trump. In Nigeria, our government officials get away with blue murder. They say things that you are unable to wrap your mind around. How is it possible that a presidential spokesperson comes on air and says that the people did not obtain clearance? Maybe you don't understand. Since this statement was brought out, I've been wondering if the kind of people that were put in this geographical, territory, Nigeria, if there's something really peculiar about us. How a spokesman will say this thing, he will say this thing, and he's still enjoying his office, and we have all not taken him down. By now, social media should be, everybody should be talking about this very stupid statement, that people should obtain clearance, get clearance before they go to farm. I should obtain clearance, Marianne, before I go and see my wife. I should obtain clearance before I go and see my children. In a country where I have said, we elected you to do just one thing. Okay, leave welfare. Marianne, Google right now as I'm talking to you, how much we have budgeted and spent to prosecute this battle. How much we have sent our best officers abroad to go and learn these current tactics of defeating the Boko Haram and whatever it is that you call them, insurrections, banditry.
The fact that
apologies, go ahead.
insurrections, banditry, and whatever it is that Nigerians are being too we are being too petty with these people. We are massaging them. We're making them feel like gods. That's why they are doing this. That's on the one hand. On the second hand, if you took 1 billion, was it the last time they took 1 billion from? Yes, I can hear you, Marianne.
I know the connection is
Marianne, I can hear you. Marianne, I can hear you.
You're saying that we're being you're saying we're being too easy. We're being too easy on these politicians, on our leaders, on the army. But what can we possibly do? What can we possibly do? Recently, Nigerians poured out to the streets across the Federation, talking about police brutality. And look what's happening. Accounts were frozen. People were being called terrorists for asking that the police officers whose salaries are paid taxes should killing innocent Nigerians. Look at how the presidency has reacted. So why should Nigerians react to the president? Not get there and maybe start.
Can you hear me, Marianne? I wasn't able to, properly piece the question, but I think what you were asking, if you can hear me, you were.
I really want to apologize for the internet drama, but Andy, did you get anything that I?
Yes, absolutely. I think what you were asking was, what do I expect Nigerians?
I'm so sorry. We're having a terrible connection today, and I think it's everywhere in Nigeria. I was thinking it was just me, but it seems to be everywhere. Let us know if you can hear us, what's going on, because I cannot hear my guest right now. Anyway, I would like to go straight to your questions, but Andy, if you can hear me, please let me know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Andy, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, Marianne. Okay, I think I've gone out.
Andy, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Marianne. I can hear you.
Hello, can Andy hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Marianne, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Marianne, I can hear you.
Andy, can you hear me? Go ahead.
Absolutely, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Just go ahead.
Yes, so when Wike in Rivers State was contesting as a governor, there was this song that he always encouraged the people to sing every time he was coming to talk to Rivers people. And the song goes like this: how many them day when we no go win them? How many them day? And every time Wike was coming on the rostrum to talk to Rivers people, you would hear the people who sing to welcome him say, how many them day when we no go win them? How many them day? And you see, beyond the fact that they always sang that song for Wike, I was able to, make out so much sense from that song that a lot of times we are not aware that the office of the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is one that is populated with well over 190 million people. And those who are ruling us, Marianne, ruling, don't forget, I don't say those who are leading us, because they aren't leading us. Those who are ruling us, they are less than even 1 million people. So indeed, how many them day? How many them day when we not go win them? How many are they if we all come out like we did with the NSAS? If we all come out and say that enough is enough, how can a Garba Shehu, we did not elect him, we did elect a Garba Shehu. Garba Shehu just became because we elected a president. And a Garba Shehu comes and speaks to Nigerians and say we did not obtain clearance. The people did not obtain clearance, so that's why they should be slaughtered in the manner that they were slaughtered. And we are keeping quiet. A Garba Shehu says that our people, Nigerians, were slaughtered like chicken because they did not obtain clearance. Who gives
All right, I'm back, guys. Would you like to add to what Andy said before we go to what the Chief of Army Staff said about this situation?
Well, it's really, really very sad that we do not even pay. We don't have value. It just shows the state of those who we elected to represent us. I mean, looking at that statement, hearing all of the excuses that are being put out, it doesn't really make any sense, and it's really, really sad. Well, it might just interest everyone to know who's listening that the Nigerian government has failed the people. The primary responsibility, the basic responsibility of every government is protection of lives and property. Security is top on the list. It's unfortunate that this government came on board, and one of the tripods on which they sit is security. But up until now, it feels like we're degenerating constantly. We're losing lives. I mean, people are dying in their numbers. We can no longer move about businesses. It is really crazy. Now, not to even think about all of the excuses that the governors are making right now, that they are not, I mean, I don't know if you are following the story. Some governors are making some claims and postulation, assertion that they are not really the chief security officers of their state. To some extent, that might just be correct. But how do you even rule out the fact that you are in charge? You are governor, you are elected, and it doesn't really bother you whether people are dying, whether there's crime and criminality, and you say because you do not, call the shots that the IG police is not responding, or you are not calling the shot, or the IG police is not answering to you, therefore means that you are not you're not the chief security officer of your state. It is really, really sad to see that we don't care about the lives of the people who elected us, okay, who elected them, not us, because I'm not part of this entire system. Because if I were to be part of this system, I'm sure we'll be expecting something different. Well, it's really, really sad. As I speak with you, I'm paranoid every second. I can't move, I can't even sleep and close my eyes. You can't even go out. What then is the essence of government? The social contract law has been breached, because the essence of government is that the people come together, submit their will, and say, government, yes, we will do this in turn, and you will do that in turn for us. They pay their taxes. Well, how come government is not living up to its expectation? Agreement is an agreement. Question. The social contract law has been breached.
Great question. It takes me to the reaction of governments, and when I say governments, especially the federal government of Nigeria, to issues of insecurity. Like I said before, the NSAS campaign, when we went out for the NSAS protest, the results, the way that the government reacted to us is not how we expected them to react to us. Again, Sarah yesterday had asked the government to ask the DSS to release a young person from Borno State who went on a one-man protest to the National Assembly, asking that something be done about the killings in Borno State, and 110 people were killed. Yeah, really, is the government adding any value, or does the government value our inputs? Does the government value our cries and our hues or our calls for them to make us safe and secure? Because this man is one man. He went with a placard saying, do something about, the people that are being killed in my state. What harm did he do? It's his constitutional right. So the reactions that we're getting from government, does this in any way point to the fact that things will get better, or does it mean that we're going to continually be, and lives will continually be lost in this country?
No, it's not going to be like this. This is just a phase. It would definitely pass. I'm very hopeful. Now, the most interesting thing for me right here is the fact that Nigerians have actually woken up. The issue of being docile and docility is in the past now. So gradually people are very conscious, and this is a phase, like I say, it will pass. It will definitely pass. But this is also a wake-up call for us. We cannot continue to fold our arms and wait for a miracle to happen. There's always a human part to every miracle. This is time for Nigerians to wake up and ask for their right. If this is an agreement, then government has failed. Government has to live up to her expectation. I mean, look at that. For instance, if I have an agreement with you, it's an agreement. You do not breach an agreement. And if you do breach an agreement, there should be a consequence. That's why people should have resigned. That's why lawmakers should actually, start the impeachment process. What are we waiting for? Well, it feels like from the body language, you do not see, the Ninth Assembly even thinking that they are even going to even start that. There's no political will from anywhere. I mean, it really breaks my heart to see someone wake up and say, I'm not the chief security officer of my state. Why? How is that? Let's not even bring up the issue of the security vote. What are you doing with it? We don't even understand what you're doing with the security vote. But on a monthly basis, people are getting monies and people are not protecting their state. Nobody cares about the fact that people are dying. So what are we going to do now? Do you even want to see the reason why some people take the laws into their hand? Jungle justice is not a justification for it, but the system entirely has failed.
Interesting. Let me bring Andy back in.
Can you hear
Andy,
me, Marianne?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. I want to bring Andy back in here. Andy, the Chief of Army Staff, Burutai, a name that Nigerians are very irritated by right now. Everybody seems to be going at his neck because of what he said recently. He did say that the Boko Haram attacks are an international conspiracy to split the country. This is the reaction of a Chief of Army Staff to the killing of 110 farmers on their rice fields in a part of the country where they have told us that there has been a winning of sorts of Boko Haram technically. How do you respond to this? And Andy, can you hear me?
Yes. So Marianne, if you were going to recruit,
go ahead. Andy, can you hear me? Oh, I think
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Marianne, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, I think we lost Andy. Messi, can you take that on?
Hear me?
Okay, Andy, you're back.
Okay, can you please repeat the question? Can you repeat the question?
I can hear you. Okay. I can hear you loud and clear. Okay. I can hear this in medicine. If you made a diagnosis, for instance, with Hello. 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 Hello, please. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Is it better now?
Andy, go ahead. Oh, I think we lost Andy there. But as you can see on the screen, the Chief of Army Staff has said that the reasons why Boko Haram is attacking is an international ploy to split the country. So I asked the question, should our service chiefs be politicizing the insecurity in the country, or should they be trying as much as possible to allay the fears of the people who they're supposed to be protecting, especially our borders? Andy, I think we have you back. Hopefully the internet will let us do this quickly and wrap up the conversation. But while we wait for Andy to come back, Mercy, I think you're here. I did ask a question, and I would like to get your reaction to the Chief of Army Staff's response to the killings. If you can hear me, Mercy, go ahead.
Hello, Marianne.
Yes, and Andy, we can hear you. Mercy, I was asking for your
Okay.
response to the Chief of Army Staff's speech.
So can I just go at it, Marianne? Can I go at it now?
All right, go ahead,
Okay,
Andy.
Mercy. Okay, so I was talking about misdiagnosis. How does a man make a diagnosis and is unable to treat that diagnosis? That's what I was trying to explain. So if I said to you as a doctor that I thought you had malaria, yeah, and it would be a decision that I must reach or I must have reached as a result of having done certain important clinical investigation, like sending you to the lab with your blood sample to get the result to find out that your malaria parasite in your blood is more than 1 plus. So if a bureaucracy says to us that it is because there's an international conspiracy, it means that he has done So how do you treat as a doctor? Why are you the chief of army staff? What are you saying to us as Nigerians? We should clap for you that you have made a diagnosis. I should clap for you as a patient that you have made a diagnosis that it's malaria that I have. You are meant to treat me. That's why you have the training as a doctor. You made a diagnosis, so I would become the claim that the is poor is because you have made, sat in your bedroom and you made it fix the problem. Fix it however you want to fix it. Marian, you know what's very funny about us in this country? Every time we want to recruit people into our small companies, into our, the Chevron, the Shell, the different hospitals, we're interested in CVs. Yeah, we say, oh, present your CVs. You know why we're interested in it? Because we want to see if they have the competencies for the role that they're applying to work on. We are interested in those things. We want to check where they worked before. We want to check what they have done. We want to check what portfolio they are possibly going to bring to us if they're coming from the banks. But guess what? When we are recruiting people into public spaces, into public offices, either as presidents, as vice presidents, as governors, as local government chairman, or whatever it is that we are recruiting them into, we are never interested in any CV. We bring people who today I made a postulation that they are completely brainless. Marianne, let me tell you why I say so. If our leaders are not, if you had brain, Marianne, let me tell you what will happen. There are certain things you will do by reflex. By reflex, if you had brain. By reflex, if your brain was functioning, there's certain things that you will do by reflex. So if you were a father or a mother, and you saw someone coming to hit your child, or someone approaching your child to kill your child, by reflex, if you had brain, you try to protect your child. If these leaders indeed have brain, there are certain things that they should have been doing by reflex. By reflex. Marianne, I support your
Does
fiber.
this mean,
Once
Andy?
upon
So,
a time.
Andy, does this mean that there is no foreseeable future under this administration to deal with insecurity going forward? And I'm going to ask the same question to Mercy, but Andy, quickly in 1 minute.
Absolutely. See the amount of money that we have got into this thing now. See it. Your other guest, my colleague, was talking about the fact that governors are, they're saying that they are indeed not. And that's the truth. I have always advocated that the way Nigeria is currently structured, if you brought an angel from heaven to come and administer this space, it would fail woefully. It would be so difficult stupid and cynical it will be. Zulum, for instance, would not be able to do whatever. Can Zulum recruit people into the army? Can Zulum recruit people into the Nigerian police? We have less than 500,000 police officers policing a country of over 200 million people. And the president is sitting there and is drinking champagne. All of the other armed forces, they are less than 700,000. And they are drinking champagne. How do you think that these people we call bandits, these people we call all kinds of names? So let me tell you one of the things I know very well as a clinician. If you were unable to properly give the right name to the disease condition, you would never be able to treat. It is terrorism. It is not banditry. It is terrorism. It is not insurrection. It is terrorism. It is not insurgency. What we are facing is terrorism. Appropriately name it, and you would be able to treat it. Today, if we were able to name it appropriately that this is terrorism, we would have been able to do all that we should do to combat this terrorism. But because we are afraid, we are still pampering it. Like a patient with cancer, a patient with benign cancer is pampering it every day. She looks in the mirror and says, okay, this thing is still quite benign. You're still pampering. The day is going to come when it metastasizes and it's going to eat that patient up completely. We are still pampering this thing, calling it insurrection, calling it banditry, headsmen attack. It is terrorism.
Okay, and Andy, I gave you a minute. Let's allow Mercy to quickly respond, and then I'll just go straight to the comment section before we wrap things up. I know that this is an issue that is very, it's close to your heart. And I know that when it comes to insecurity, every single person who lives in this country is worried. While we try to get Mercy back on, let's just read some of the comments that have been coming in. IG Kingston says, we have everything needed to tackle security challenges and we are faced with right now. Our rulers and politicians are busy with 2023 politics, and he's saying SOS. Ayola here he says, the way we're going, if care is not taken, Somalia would be like a dream heaven compared to Nigeria if we do not stand up to these criminals in the seat of power. And he goes on to say, this is the most important reason why Nigeria needs to tackle security to take security to the state. The federal holds G8 executive exclusive list that's supposed to be shared within states. You cannot send a man to Egba, from Egba to Borno to solve the issues going within. I mean, we talked about the state police issue, and I remember this same administration said, "Oh, governors were going to use these police officers as their private thugs," and then that issue was swept under the carpet. But then, look at what we're doing right now. We're all having to police ourselves. We're all having to, gate our communities because we do not have police officers to protect us as we speak. My estate has had to build an extra gate to just gate us, protect us while we are, in our homes, because we do not know who would come to either steal or kill us. So the issue of community policing and state policing, I think that we cannot overemphasize it. Somebody here, IG Kingston, says it's pathetic that the Nigerian government exercises their might on the impoverished and hungry Nigerians, maiming and killing us. I mean, all of these comments just makes it, look a lot more grim. We cannot get Mercy back on. But in closing, quickly, Andy, there have been several calls over and over again for Mr. President to sack his service chiefs. The Senate has also said, again, we need you to sack the service chiefs. They've called Mr. President to come to the floor of the National Assembly and address them on security issues. But why do you think the president is hell-bent on keeping the same guys who have not been able to, do their work perfectly or even do it well to start with? Why is he so hell-bent on keeping those guys?
Miriam, a songwriter said, if you ask me, now who I go ask? And the matter we see, so he happy for mouth. The truth of the matter is that it's the president that we should be asking the question. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello? It's the president who should be asking this question, because I really cannot wrap my mind around how you are allowing incompetencies in the different segments the different areas under your administration, incompetencies. You are seeing it on a daily in the economy, incompetencies, security, incompetencies. You are seeing failings and failures, and a president is comfortable with it. It tells you indeed that these failings are not even that of the lieutenants. They are failings of the president himself. Let's call it for what it is. The failings are of the president. The buck stops on his desk. He doesn't see indeed the reason to rejig his team. Do you know, even recently, a man who used to praise-sing the president, Rocha Sokorocha, had come out to say that the president should sack his entire cabinet. Yes, he had come out to say certain things, because I'm wondering why the president indeed is not saying these things. And Marianne, today I said on the radio station that I'm completely in support of what this lady, the big back, bring back our girls lady, Yes, we need to quickly get an external medical team to come and examine our president for us. Because I do not understand, Marianne. Why are you still keeping them? Is it something that they are serving for you? Is it some other purposes that they are serving other than to fight insurrection, insurgency, and terrorism? Is it something else that Nigerians are not aware of? So Marianne, the question is not for me. As a Nigerian citizen, I am completely tired. I've given up, as a matter of fact. And it is not even about praying anymore. I've given up that from this president and from this administration, nothing good, nothing. Mark my word, nothing good will come out. We will just continue to endure like the children by the rivers of Babylon, where they sat down and waited, where they sat down and they were wailing, where they sat down and they were gnashing their teeth. We are going to just sit down, because nothing, absolutely. All right,
Andy, we need to wrap up. So let me go to Mercy right now, quickly. Mercy, just as Andy has painted a grim picture, he has no hope whatsoever. You seem to be a bit more hopeful in terms of change, and the presidency, governors across the states, taking security as their number one priority. As we speak, I know so many people who are running away from this country right now. I have friends who are, running away. I mean, for those of us who are journalists, we're getting suppressed every day. Being a journalist in this country is now a joke. We're going to see a mass migration from this country because the level of insecurity is going higher and higher, and the cost of living is also going high, and poverty rate is hitting the roof. Where do we go from here, Mercy? Mercy, can you hear me? Mercy, can you hear me? Go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
You sound very faint. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear my question?
Can you hear me, Marianne?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear my question? Did you hear my question? Mercy, can you hear me? Did you hear my question? Oh dear, I think it's the internet. Well, guys, I think we have to wrap things up right here. The internet has been really messy for us today, but we tried to have this conversation. We appreciate everybody who's been part of the conversation. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for all your thoughts. I want to appreciate all my guests for coming. We had to brave the internet. I mean, nothing really is working right now in this country. Everything seems to be a struggle, including our internet service. But we're hoping for the best. We're hoping that justice will be given to those who have been killed. Let's not forget, we still have the NSARS, protesters, those who have been killed, the whole situation shrouded in secrecy, and we're yet to address that. And now we have another set of people killed in Borno State, which the government has made an excuse saying these farmers didn't get a pass before they went to their farms. In what world does this work? Well, Which Way Nigeria is a song I used to hear when I was a child by the late Sonny Okosun. And I'm asking that question right now. Which way Nigeria? Where are we going as we speak? Mass migration, serious poverty, job losses, insecurity, people having to look over their shoulders in a country where they supposedly are to feel safe. It makes us wonder what tomorrow holds. I thank you very much, everybody who's joined us. Brett Walker, thank you, Derrison, thank you, Ayola Ajele, thank you very much. I love some beans for your comments. Thank you, Pablo, Peter, everyone who sent us a message, Matt Goldman, Kingsley, MUFC, thank you all for being here. Andy Apotive is a social commentator. He had joined us from River State, Port Harcourt, and also Messi Abikbo is a broadcast journalist with Sparkling FM in Calabar, Cross River State. Thank you, lady and gentlemen, for joining us. Messi, I know the internet has been really messy, but thank you for being part of this conversation. I appreciate it. I don't know if you can hear me.
Thank you, Marianne.
All right, perfect.
All right, thank you, Marianne. Thank you for having me.
All right. And on that note, I want to thank you all for being part of the conversation. I'll be back next week, Thursday, still talking about issues either from Nigeria or around Africa, because our nose is always in the news. I'm Mariana Kone from Lagos, Nigeria. Have a good evening.